Okay, after that, if I open several of them, I will close them. I'll close them first so that there's only one left. Right now, I'm going to start creating a virtual class. Where do I create it from? From the schedule. I click on the Schedule New Meeting button, and here I write, for example, lecture or lecture time on Sunday. For the computer, Pete. So focus with me. So that time doesn't slip away from us. I come here and ask you, what day do you want the lecture? Of course, you can choose the date however you like. For example, we're going to create it today. You click on this and select the date however you want. No, we're going to create it today. If you want it tomorrow, just click on 3. I want it later. And in this way, okay, we're going to create it today so you can follow along with me. Let's focus now. Here. It says 5 o'clock. Oh, that's it. And here it says, take care. Bam and man. Do you want it in the evening or in the morning? So AM is for morning and PM is for evening. Okay, if I want my lecture to be at 54 minutes, my lecture is at 54 minutes. 5, not 5, 54 minutes. If you click like this, you'll find the hours here. In hours, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock, 5:30, which means either an hour or half an hour. There's no such thing as 10 or 20 and stuff like that. So I just choose normally. I choose 5 normally. And then I go here to the dial and I say 0.04 like this. I type on the keyboard and press the 2 dots stacked on top of each other and say 50. So it accepts writing, right, doctor? Then this is your starting point. So don't be afraid and say, no, this isn't the value. No, this isn't in the value. The word 54, no, you can write it out loud. If you want the lecture to start from 4:30 to 5 but 44 minutes, that's totally fine. I'm going to tell the lecture that it will start from 4 or 5 until 10. I will tell you, the duration of the lecture is 1 minute. It will start from here, but its duration is 1 minute. What? I will tell him I need to be there for an hour. No, I need to be there for 2 hours. I need to be there for 3 hours. If you need 50 minutes, it will be here at 0. And you come here and start writing things you want. I see that you want a duration of 1 minute. For example, I want a duration of 50 minutes. So you tell him that my lecture is 50 minutes starting from 4:30 and 350 minutes. But we won't have a 50-minute lecture because we're continuing until 7:30. So I'll add a little bit and say, for example, will you take 3 hours or not? Are we taking 3 hours or not? This is regarding the topic of going down a bit. Let's set it for about 3 or 4 hours. Okay? All right, then pay attention to something very important. I'm talking about time zone. I am now in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and regarding the timing for Riyadh on Zoom, if you are outside the country, for example, if you went to a conference or had something else and you have a virtual session, then you need to consider where you are living. Repeat the country you are in because of the time differences and all that, and make sure it works out for you. Okay, now we move on to this very important point. This point is very important, which is the repetition of the session. Repetition of the session. When I click on repeat session, if you are doing just one session, you don't need this. If you are just doing one session and that's it, whether it's a meeting, a forum, or any kind of training, then you don't need it. If you are just doing one session and that's it, the session became a meeting, a forum, anything or training, I no longer need it. But if you want to schedule the entire semester, you don't have to do a session every week. No, you do it once at the beginning of the semester. You come and choose to repeat the session, and it will show up here asking you, so what exactly do you want to do? I'll tell him, well, my session is every week, a session every week, okay? You can choose the day you want, for example, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. You can choose if you have a session, for example, on Tuesday or Monday, and you have a session on Wednesday, but at the same time, you can start at 54. You can put the second day here. You also check this box here. But if you have a session at a different time, no, you need to create a second session. You need to create a second session. Okay, let's come here and focus with me, and this is very important. I told him, every week, I will have one meeting. Could you please kindly repeat Monday again for me? So I tell him, repeat one day every week, which is Monday. I'm reading it like this. He asked me, okay, how far do you want it to end? The end of the sessions or your agenda? Of course, I know the end, my semester. If you know history, you will enter the game. If you don't know history like me, I say to him, focus with me here, and I start to activate this and tell him, no, repeat it for E for 10 weeks, meaning no. Repeat it for me for 14 weeks. Repeat it for me for 15 weeks. So let's assume here I say to him 14 weeks. Then I'm telling everyone, hey folks, I'm having a session every Sunday during the semester for 14 weeks. All right? That's our scheduling and that's our system. For 14 weeks, all right, that's our scheduling and that's our system. Scroll down a bit, Dr. Abaki. Go ahead, doctor. If you don't have sound, I'll turn the sound on for you. Listen. Lal, can you check if there's sound or not? Look, we gave you the sound, right? Sound is now available, doctor. Proceed and raise your hand. Mic is open. Dr. Abaki, your mic seems faulty. Let's continue to save time. We scheduled 14 weeks, starting every Monday at 54 minutes past the hour. Focus on restoration. Dr. Abaki's mic isn't. All right. Dr. Abaki seems to have a problem with his mic. Let's continue, everyone, so we don't waste time. Where did we reach? We reached the point where we scheduled 14 weeks, starting every Monday at 54 minutes past the hour. Now, pay attention to the word restoration. The restoration here, if you look at it like this, you have, essentially speaking, three options. Basically, in essence, fundamentally, in a way, three options. You may need it, or perhaps you may not. You may possibly need it, or you may not. What is the subject of the restoration date? The restoration I have, for instance, is composed of the term attendance register means that the students I have will register their names every time they attend. So, if I choose the first option, which is activated, it's correct that the student who attends will register once. Once they register, every time they come in, they will enter with that same name and they won't need to register again. However, if you choose the second option, it means you are forcing the student to register their name every time before entering the lecture. I believe the first option is better, where a student registers once and that's it. But if you choose the second option, it means you are forcing the student to register their name every time before entering the lecture. And I believe that the first option is better, where a student registers once and that's it. The third option is that they can register once, meaning they have to register just once, and they can also register again if they want to register more than once. All right, this is required, and I think its default setting is good. He can also register if he wants to register more than once, and so on. All right, this is required, and I think its default setting is good. There's something called security. And security here, if you are present, for example, if you come in like this, he says the security here, for example, when a student enters the session, they must enter 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Why? Because we can't guarantee that someone from outside will enter. If I sent this link, outside the virtual classroom or outside the blackboard, no one can ever guarantee that the person entering has the password. It's very important. It's very important, everyone. It's very important, and we are in the waiting room. Sometimes we are in the waiting room. It's like a waiting area. If you activate it, no one will be able to enter the session. You tell him you don't allow him in. He said to him, you allow him to enter. Because sometimes I like this treatment. I prefer to activate it 10 minutes into the lecture to see who is late. The waiting room is like a waiting area, and I don't like to use it. Can you activate it while working, doctor? Yes, from inside Zoom. After I explain for about 15 minutes, I can activate it so late students can enter. Some students come in after half an hour, and I don't notice, saying, I've been here since the start. If you want to activate it, that's fine. If not, just leave it. This is about the waiting room. It's important. So, can you activate it while you're working, doctor? Yes, from inside Zoom, while we're working, after I explain for about 15 minutes, I can activate it so that any student who is late can come in. Because some students come in after, let's say, half an hour, and I don't notice, and they enter Zoom during the preparation time and say, I've been here since the start of the lecture. No, I want to know who is coming late and who isn't. So, if you want to activate it, that's fine. If you don't want to activate it, just leave it. And it tells you how to activate it from inside. This is regarding the waiting room or the waiting area, and it's very important. This is specifically regarding the waiting room or the waiting area, which is extremely important, and it's very important.